Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Greetings and salutations. It is I, the one and only, the true. I don't know what I was doing or where I was going with that, but hello. Welcome back to another episode of the Queuing Up Podcast. I am your host, as always, Damien Rocha Jr., and today we're not doing Marvel. Shocker. I know there's a lot of Marvel cards that I still want to talk about, still want to go over, but different time, different place. Today, if you guys are interested, just keep me on in the background, either one. Today, I am going to be going over two books that I should have already done an episode on one of these books months ago. Forgot it existed because I was reading the third book, but probably see it behind me here. It's the trilogy there, as you see the blue book, the green book, and I think it's like a pink or reddish book. It is the last two books of the Infinity Cycle. The second one being Infinity Reaper, and the third one being Infinity Kings. I recently finished that, I think it was about 2 weeks ago now, and I've just been having fun with other things, going to the lake, working, hanging out with friends I haven't seen in a while, this, that, the third. Basically just had stuff come up, but I also forgot to make a video on it too, because for some reason I thought I didn't. But yeah, I wanted to give my thoughts on both books, kind of break them down, give some pros, give some cons, and then just kind of move forward from there. So, what we're going to be talking about first, obviously, is the second book, Infinity Reaper. Now, the whole series is based around this character. This is Brighton. It's around him and his twin brother, Emil. So, Emil and Brighton, essentially two normal kids who, on their 18th birthday, they go to this celebration, like this party, and they're like, yeah, we're just normal dudes, except Brighton here is a little bit power hungry. He thinks that he's going to have the power and be the greatest superhero to ever exist simply because it's him. Like, that's his whole thing throughout the series. And yeah, but before I continue, if you haven't read either one of these books, I would strongly suggest not listening to this because I will ruin a lot. I'm not saving anybody's ears. I'm not saving anybody from getting spoilers. This entire episode is going to be spoiler filled because in order for me to completely give you like my unbiased opinion on things or to talk about certain things, it would be easier for me just to talk about them in whole instead of like censoring out certain parts or just leaving out parts completely, because then you'd probably end up more confused. So yes, this is just a spoiler packed episode. So there's your warning. There's the warning signs. There's everything you need to know. That's your first and only warning if you somehow miss this whole thing, because I'm now going on maybe a 2-minute tangent here and you're still not paying attention. Hey, that's on you, big dog. But yes, this one, this whole book basically follows the premise of, it's more Brighton and Marty Bell, or Mary Bell. I call her Marty Bell because she is of Spanish descent. So Brighton here is essentially dying, and the reason why he is dying is because he drank a Reaper potion, or the Reaper's blood potion, which was supposed to essentially give immortality to the main antagonist of this entire thing, Luna. Now, Luna, she's an old woman who's a very brilliant alchemist who is giving people powers from the first book, and she leads the Bloodcasters, who are just a bunch of ragtag, murderous, angry people. And Luna has a way of talking, like a way of speaking, and it basically gives them the opportunity to basically talk their way in and out of almost anything they're ever in. So, like, you can straight up watch her, like, murder somebody, and you confront her on it, and she can literally talk her way out of it to the point of where she's, like, making you think what you saw was fake. Like, you missed the whole ordeal, even though you could have been there with her, saw that she met this guy for the first time, killed him, and then she can make you believe. Basically, she's good at gaslighting is what it is. She's very good at gaslighting. She's very good at weaseling her way out of situations. And she's also very, very smart and basically has no emotions for anybody else but herself. It's insane. But essentially, she was making that potion for herself because she is dying of a sickness. And she's trying to give herself true immortality because she believes that death slows everything down around them. There should be no reason death exists in the world because all it does is slow people down. Now, it kind of doesn't, for me, as soon as I read that, I'm like, well, if everyone's immortal, then you would run out of resources like eventually, unless you have something to get rid of hunger, you have something to get rid of sleep, you have something to get rid of certain sicknesses, diseases, because if you can't die, you're just going to suffer. Like, that's the only outcome that I saw with this. But Brighton here, being the genius that he is, because, you know, like every good duo of people, uh he's just annoying. So long story short, towards the end of the first book, Marty Bell accidentally kills her boyfriend Atlas, and it's because I always forget her name. It's not June. It's the girl who has ghost blood. She can possess people, and that's her power. So she possesses Marty Bell and uses her body to shoot a spell from a wand and shoot Atlas in the chest, killing him instantly. Like, it goes straight through his heart. You can't save him. There's no like magical fairy tale ending where it's like, oh, we can save him with the power of friendship. No, she fucking kills him stone cold dead. And she blames Brighton for that. And this is like a common thing with these two characters, is I understand the author is trying to make tragic characters, but I just fucking hate them. Like, I genuinely hate them because the way they're thinking is really, really dumb. And I understand when you go through tragedy, when you go through like heartbreak, loss, when you go through struggle, when you go through like addiction, stuff like that, you're going to act differently. You're going to say things differently. But the fact that they've been saying this from the first book to the second book into the third book is so annoying to me. Like, there's nothing that they grow from in this at all. In my opinion, they don't grow at all. Like, well, Brighton does later on. Mary Bell, not so much, really. But Marty Bell, basically, she's still very angry about her parents dying, and she does believe they were accused of, things, or basically, she believes they were set up. Long story short, she believes they were set up because there was an event called the Blackout where they went to this, basically like a museum, and her parents and her ex-best friend, Iris's parents, were fighting each other, and no one knows why. That's super weird that they're fighting each other, right? Oh, her name's June, by the way. The girl with ghost powers, her name's June. But yeah, they're fighting each other, and then I believe it's Marty Bell's mother is the one that threw grenades everywhere and killed everyone in that conservatorium, I think is what it's called. Everyone died. The whole building got blown up. And that's the same place where the senator, his name is Senator Edward Iron, or Eduardo Iron. I think it's Edward Iron, where he essentially is using that whole accident to set himself up for presidency, because he believes that Celestials, people who are born with powers, and then Spectres, people who are given powers, should be under stricter code, should be punished more harshly because of who they are and what they have. They have powers. They're different than normal humans. So they should be punished more for just being different than us, It kind of fits the whole X-Men theme, where these are basically just people who are born with powers, mutants, and then there's people given powers, which are mutates. And then you got, I forgot what the actual dude's name was in the comics, but there was a guy who wanted to run for presidency who was just like, these guys are terrible. Let's create the Sentinels, he does something, which in this case, he makes what's called the Enforcers. The Enforcers are just basically power-hungry dudes that are given weapons that don't know how to use them and are hurting people and taking people's lives simply because they can. They just use anything for an excuse. And this book is very good at making you feel anger towards characters. The author does a really good job, and I gotta give them credit. They do a really good job at making you really, really, really hate characters. If he wants you to hate a character, you can tell, and you're going to end up hating him or her regardless. But yeah, Marty Bell, like I said, the reason I'm going to be talking about these characters is because they show up a lot. They're this second book is these two majority of the time. But in this book, we get to see Brighton face death, actually, because he is dying. The potion is essentially poisoning him because it had 3 different essences. And the whole premise of this is, in this world, you can only have an essence of one mythological creature. For example, hydras, there's dragons, shifters. So you can only have the essence of one mythological creature at a time. The Reaper potion has 3. It has Ghost, Hydra, and a Phoenix essence inside of it. So his body, shocker, is doing the one thing it's supposed to do and starts dying because it's having 4 different things inside of it. So obviously the 3 I just named plus his human blood inside of him are all meshing together, and he's dying of blood poisoning. Same thing his father passed from. And it's in this book that we actually get to explore a little more of his trauma, where he walked in. Oh, I'm about to sneeze, I think. Yep. Where we get to see his trauma with his father, because he walked in on his father, and his father spent his last moments with Brighton, but not in a good way. His father was choking on his own blood because his father was dying from blood poisoning. And as Brighton is holding him, trying to make him talk, trying to keep him alive, his father coughs his blood into his face and is dying in Brighton's arms. Now, this is a trauma that Brighton doesn't talk about. He keeps bottled up because the way he thinks is like emotions kind of hold you back. Like, he doesn't come out just outright and says that, but he like forces himself to work and be obnoxious so people don't ask him how he's feeling, because he's struggling with what he's actually coping with, dealing with, and what he's been through. And that's the common theme here, is that both characters really struggle, but in different ways. Mari Bell will straight up tell you why she's struggling, but she's very, in my eyes, very immature, because I'm pretty sure she's like 20-something, because she's older than the twins, but yet she still calls her mom and dad mama and papa, which to me is very weird. And the only reason it's weird is not to call your mom like mama and papa, but like she says it almost like a child, even though, if I'm not mistaken, she lost her parents when she was older. Not as an adult, but still, like, that's the trauma she has. But it makes it also sound like the blackout didn't happen very long ago either. Like, if they're 21, they made it sound like it happened 3 years ago max. Because I genuinely forgot when the actual event happened, but it's within the couple years. Like, it sounds like it's within years of each other. But long story short, if I'm not mistaken, though, correct me if I'm wrong, I can correct myself through editing. It is within the lifetime, obviously, of them. But that's the thing she has, is she's still very childlike. Like, for example, her parents, Maribel's parents, founded, or like were part of the original Spellwalkers, the group that all of the characters that we see and talk to are in. And she believes that she should be the leader because her parents were part of the original founders. And it's like, okay, good for you. Like, that doesn't mean you can, because she's been reckless. She's always been reckless. She's always had anger issues, and she never thinks anything through, like anything. So the reason why she blames Brighton is because in the first book, when she gets her hands, or I think it's actually Brighton, when Brighton grabs June and actually holds her, because the whole thing with the ghost powers when it comes to June is if you can grab them, they can't phase. Like, they can't go intangible and just like walk through things, walk through people. So he holds her down, and Mari Bell is like, let me kill her. Brighton goes, no, that's not what Spellwalkers do. You're not, like, what? And that's her whole thing throughout the series, is she thinks she's right about everything. And I mean everything. It just, ooh, she gets on my nerves so much. So does Brighton. Oh, my bad, not Brighton, Emil. She doesn't like Emil, because Emil is always like a good-hearted guy, and he doesn't want to kill anybody. He doesn't want to have a body count of any sort, because he believes heroes shouldn't kill people. Mari Bell, instead of blaming herself because she's driven by revenge and is trying to kill somebody when the whole point of the group is to save people, blames Emil. Because, once again, during the event of her accidentally killing Atlas by getting taken over by June, if she would have just stayed put where she was, she wouldn't have gotten taken over. She wouldn't have killed her boyfriend, because I think her hate is genuinely misplaced, and it pisses me off that she doesn't see that. She just... It's annoying. Like I said, in this book, neither one of these characters really like grows more than what they are. Mari Bell just grows more into just a vigilante who hates everything that isn't her and just wants to kill people. Like, just honestly. Brighton has some like regret for drinking the blood, and it just aggravates the actual hell out of me. So at one point in the book, Mari Bell is just crying, because she's grieving. That's the whole premise of this, is that she's grieving throughout the book. And she sees a phoenix flying through the clouds, but she thinks there's someone on top of it. And she watches the shadow of it go to a building, follows, then she gets jumped by the person. He then has to fight that person off and finds out that Tala I think it's Tala or Tala, Tala. Tala is a Halo Knight, which we learn about are knights that essentially take care of all phoenixes. The way they live their life is the phoenixes are to be protected, to be essentially served, and basically praised for being these all natural beauties that are hunted down for simply being alive. Now, hers is, I forget what they're called. I think it's a breather spawn, I think is what they're called. But Tala's specific companion is I believe it's called Roxana. I think it's bright yellow. And it breathes lightning. It's super cool. And essentially what Tala thinks is happening is that Maribel is trying to break in and kill her or like steal from her because she has Phoenix blood inside of her. They fight, they beat each other up, and after beating each other up, she gets hit with, I think it's a sleeper potion or whatever she gets hit with, she's out. And when she wakes up, Tala doesn't kill her because she wants to talk to her, and then they both find out that because of Luna's actions, they both lost their parents. So we find out in this book, I believe it is this book, yes, that the blackout was a setup. The senator who is now running for the presidency, Senator Iron, set the whole thing up. He actually paid Luna to send June to abduct or basically get inside one of the bodies of the Spellwalkers. This time it's Maribel's mother, and cause the whole blackout scene, killing people and taking a bunch of lives, even the life of Senator Iron's son, which we find out in the first book is actually Ness, right? So that whole thing happens. It's a whole fucking ordeal. Everything's going wrong. And throughout this book as well, Ness was captured by his father and is being tortured. Now, moving along to this, Ness essentially is dealing with his own traumas of being stuck in that house where he lived in the mansion or the manor. And he doesn't want any part of it. He doesn't want to be used against anybody, but he has no choice. It's either he listens or the people he loves die. And that's the whole premise of this, is because while Ness is here, he has to basically pretend to be Senator Sunstar and say blasphemous things, say things that don't exist. He has to pretend to be Emil and Brighton's mom, Carolina. And then Eva also gets kidnapped as well. And basically, the Spellwalkers have no healer, so if they go into battle and get injured, they have to actually like take time to recover. As to where Eva, she would heal them, taking all their pain away, and they can get up and fight again. So throughout this, they have to basically find ways and challenge themselves to basically work around not having a healer, and they have to be more secretive as to just being like upfront, because the only one who really doesn't take damage is Iris, because her skin is basically spell proof, or at least very spell resistant. I'm pretty sure it's spell proof. Like she doesn't get hurt by actual spells. She only gets hurt by actual specters and other celestials. So like she takes a lot. I would say resistant more than proof, because there are some chapters where she does get injured, but it takes like a lot to injure her. She can also succumb to like whiplash as well. So like if you slam her against the wall, her brain will rattle around. So she's still taking damage, but her like skin is still strong. It's resistant. But long story short, Ness is basically pretending to be Carolina, pretending to be Eva, put up these fake like interviews to really like set up the world for failure and make the brothers even angrier. Because during her events of Tala meeting Maribel finds out that Tala wants to speak to Emil because she thinks that Emil might be the reason for her parents dying or have something connected to it, so she wants to talk to him. She kind of hints that she wants to kill him, but she'd rather talk to him first. So Maribel, being Maribel, is like, sure, I get you. Let me talk to Brighton. And they get this whole thing together while Brighton is dying, where like Emil meets them. And while they're there, a fight breaks out, and Wyatt shows up to break it up. Wyatt is a senior to Tala in like the Halo Knight, what is the word, hierarchy. And he talks to Emil. And he flirts with Emil because that's like just how he talks, I guess. Is just he just flirts with people. And he's very smart, and we find out that not every Halo Knight is a fighter. This guy's more of a preserver. He goes from place to place to talk to people and help them protect phoenixes, release phoenixes, because there's people like harvesting their organs, there's people eating them but keeping them alive. Because when phoenixes die, they respawn. And depending on which ones you have, they respawn either 100 years from now, 50 years from now, 20 years from now, within seconds, within minutes, within days. Like, they all have different respawn rates. So Wyatt helps him out and basically tells him, like, there's this whole, like, I forget what they're called, but, like, this place where you can go to see all the phoenixes and stuff because they're all throughout the world. And Brighton here is, like, we're around the part where Brighton kind of is coming to terms that he's going to die. Like, he's going through stages of grief. And after blowing up on his mom, blowing up on his brother, blowing up on everyone like he normally does, he starts coming to terms that if he wasn't so greedy, he wouldn't be here. And if he wasn't so power hungry, he wouldn't be here. If he didn't do everything in his power to try to best his brother, he wouldn't be here. So he starts actually having some, like, character growth. And this is the part where he actually goes up to Prudencia. It's him and Emil's best friend since they were kids, and tells her that he loves her. He's always loved her, and he understands that he didn't do things the correct way, and he doesn't expect her to love him back. He just wants to know that before he goes, that he did have a heart and it belonged to her, even if it was corrupted by his own greed. So then he leaves because she doesn't know how to respond. She doesn't know how to do anything. And while he's sitting in his room in the dark, like usual, doom scrolling, someone knocks on the door and he goes, yeah, and he forgets that it's unlocked. Prudencia telekinetically unlocks the door, shuts the door behind him, locks the door, and they make love because she knows that she's, like, has feelings for him too. So she basically gives him, I think, yeah, because he is a virgin, and so is she. They take each other's virginity in, like, a heated moment, and it cuts to the next day where Brian's like, hey, I made love to the woman of my, like, dreams, the woman who has my heart. If I die, I die. Accepted it, right? And this is, like, the part where he really does accept death, and he accepts everything that's going to happen. But before that ends, obviously, we cut back to Ness, where Ness is essentially, he comes up with a plan, especially after the Bloodcasters break their way into the manor, because I guess Senator Iron kind of broke a deal, and I forgot how he broke it, but he broke the deal with Luna, so they got kind of mad and killed some of his men. And then, sure enough, because some of his men survived and they failed at their job to protect people, they die as well, because that's just how Senator Iron works. How he covers that up, I don't know. I think it's just something simple as they saved his life or something. But he does his thing again where, you know, he's talking to Luna and we don't get to know what they talk about. Then Ness comes up with the idea to pretend to be his dad and say things, but then he's kind of thrown back when his dad goes, you're going to pretend to be me. What? Why? And he's like, because I need to know that I can trust you and you can stick to the script. So he does. And as Ness is pretending to be his father, he's about to let out that, like, you know, his father is responsible for everything. You know, he's a piece of shit and he's garbage. He gets shot and he's dying. And we find out that the senator set it up and basically made it so that, like, he himself was beat up, because he comes out of the manor all beat up saying, like, my son's alive and he wants to kill me because he thinks I'm the reason for everything. And he twists the entire script onto Ness. And the person who shot him was a bodyguard that Iron already had under his payroll. Well, we also find out that the senator betrays Luna by pushing her into the room where Carolina are and Eva are and locks it, because there's no way to get into it unless you have phasing powers. But even with phasing powers, if it's activated, it bounces you off. So even, like, June couldn't get through to help. Luna is just stuck there, right? Now, we find out towards the end of the book that Senator Iron actually set this whole thing up again, and he tells both Luna and Ness that he is not a spellwalker. He has powers. The thing that he was talking to with Luna about was to give him powers, and the powers he got were of a shifter, and he still struggles with them because, you know, he's used to it. But the thing about that is he shouldn't have those powers, because people of his age, like, in the science of the world, the older you are, the harder it is to maintain those powers. So that means that Luna found a way somehow, or Iron found a way somehow to maintain those powers, even though they should kill him or downright just not work with him, right? Well, he puts them in the bounds, where the bounds is basically a prison that is specific to specters, and they're tortured there, they're hurt there. Like, they just go above and beyond to be inhumane to these people. Because there are some dangerous people there, but there are innocent people there too who are just being tortured just because they're Celestials, inspectors. And the book basically ends around the point where Brighton starts to, quote unquote, pass on, where he can't breathe, his eyesight's going, he starts burning alive, screaming in pain, and everyone around him is basically like there for him, and he tells them like, if hey, this is my moment, thank you for being, my friends, family, my lover, thank you for being around. And he just burns. But he comes out of the burning with powers, fully healed, his arms healed, his body's healed. You find out he's got powers, thus becoming a Reaper. Move on to the third book. Third book, Infinity Kings. This third and final book where we wrap everything up, and now I'll be giving you PowerPoints because this book was almost 800 pages long, and there's a lot that happens. But long story short, in this, it is the whole premise is going to be basically Brighton versus Emil, because in this, in the ending of the second book, we basically also find out like after Brighton gets his powers, he does a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and they start helping each other, whatever, and they go to Sanctuary. They find out that they can what's called retro cycle, which is basically going into the past. They can time travel to a degree, but not completely. So basically what they're doing is going back into a past life and watching the events happen. And Brighton being Brighton, he's always like, oh, I'm the good guy, I'm better than you, blah, blah, blah. You can't beat me, I'm stronger than you, blah, blah, blah. And then you have just basically, Brighton is a bitch. He tries to be a hero. He tries doing things the good way for like maybe a day, but then he ends up basically killing somebody just for the sake of killing them. And he claims it's self-defense, but it's kind of crazy. Because I forgot the book doesn't end there. I kind of left a part out. The book doesn't end there. It keeps going for a little bit, but that's where because I keep forgetting that like after the events of Brighton burning alive essentially aren't the end of the book. Long story short, Spellwalkers break Eva out. They break out Carolina as well. They also break Ness out of the bounds. And a lot of stuff happens within like a day. And so what happens essentially is after everything happens, they save everyone. Everyone's going great. Ness and Emil get a little bit hot and steamy, but then Emil kind of is like, hey, I met a dude. His name's Wyatt. Me and him have some feelings. We haven't had sex, but we like make out, whatever, and we like each other. Brighton here has the bright idea of like, I'm not a killer, and his brother confronts him on that, saying, well, killer is what you are, not because you took someone's life, but because the way you took it. So Stanton is a guy who's been tormenting Brighton, beat him up, hurt him, basically tortured him in front of everybody, and he attacks them. And while he attacks them, we also get to learn about how he like basically, not him, my bad, Brighton, he phased through him and ripped his heart out, and instead of like just killing him and ending it there, he smiled and was like, yeah, he's dead, this is what you get, and kind of like was really weird about it. So Ness doesn't like that. Ness confronts him towards the end of the book and basically pretends to be Emil, because Emil finds out how to make the potion to basically take away someone's powers, binding them or bounding them. And he tricks Brighton into thinking he's Emil. This is when Emil and everyone else get to find out just how much anger and how like sadistic Brighton is, because he's trying to kill his brother, who that's secretly Ness, and we don't know that. And at the end, he reveals everything about Brighton to the world, basically screwing him over. Now everyone is going to try to kill him, kill more Phoenixes, this, that, and the third. And this whole thing is the war between the two brothers. Now, personally, out of the three, I still like the first book most. Like, I like Infinity Sun the most. Infinity Kings is probably my second, and the second book, Infinity Reaper, is probably my third. And that's how I'd rank them on how much I enjoyed the books. The third one, like I said, it brings everything together. That's basically the ending of that book, and the beginning of this one is them dealing with Brighton telling the world the secrets that Emil knows. Because we also find out that Mari Bell's parents aren't her parents. And basically in that second book, yeah, sorry about that. I kind of missed like a big chunk that I should have told you guys before, towards the end. Wyatt takes him to the sanctuary where they retrocycle, like I explained earlier. Mari Bell finds out that her parents are actually not the one she had. they're the other set of parents. So there was 4 people that founded the Spellwalkers. Maribel's adoptive parents that she finds out, and Maribel's actual parents. So you have Bautista and Sarah, and then you have her other parents who I only know their name like maybe 3-4 times, and I keep forgetting them. But we find out that her parents, her biological parents, gave her up because they were going to die to her adoptive parents, and that was probably one of the most well-written chapters of any book I've ever read, because she went through her mother's eyes, which is Sarah, to feel the pain and the anguish and the love that they had for her. Because that's the thing about retrocycling. When you go back through your timeline, like your lives, you find so like let's say with her, she found her her actual mother. That's her actual bloodline, so she can relive everything her mother relived and like see everything, feel everything, hear everything. It's as if she's there, but she can't do anything about it. She just feels everything. Emil's the same way, except since he's technically not human, he's a phoenix made into human form because he was just manifested. He was not born from any living human. He found out in the first book that he is second reincarnation of a lifeline of people who mess with Phoenix powers. So Keon Maximo is the person who made specters in the first place. He's the reason all specters exist. Then when he died, he didn't completely get killed off, so he went off and became Bautista. Bautista is the guy who created the Spellwalkers. Basically, he's a vigilante. And when Bautista died, boom, Emil showed up. But Emil just came out of fire. Like, there was just fire or essence of a phoenix that just rebuilt a baby. And that's when Brighton's dad met him, grabbed him, and they adopted him because they just loved him so much. So these two basically are going to go at it, I think, 3 or 4 times in the book. And then while these two are fighting, Ness is going to be fighting the Senator because the Senator has shifting powers, but Ness is the only one who can catch on to him because the Senator, like I said, keeps making slip-ups. There are slip-ups such as there is an instance where he meets a guy who has brown eyes at the beginning of the conversation, and then his eyes change to hazel towards the end, and he catches that. Or like another woman who like smiles, but the next time Ness sees him or like sees her, her smile is slightly tilted. And he's like, that's not normal. So, like, the only reason Ness is the only one to understand that is because Ness wanted to become an actor. But when he had shifter powers, he became like an agent, like a spy. So he has to make sure to look at everyone's face, look at their mannerisms. He copies them all the time. So he picks up on little things that you screw up on. Well, lo and behold, so much stuff happens, right? And there's a lot of stuff that I might skip over specifically, not because it's not important, but because it like is so much that that's why I'm bullet pointing this. So throughout this, they break into the bounds, obviously, and get Luna. And with the help of Tala and Maribel, Tala and Maribel are there to just kill Luna. Well, lo and behold, Maribel being fucking Maribel, they find Luna, and Luna goes, "What if I told you I have a resurrection potion, like a resurrection?" "Oh, I don't believe you." "Well, do you remember June? Don't you find it weird that she's like very white and pale and just is it like a ghost? Doesn't talk, almost like she doesn't have a soul. I know it exists. I screwed it up." And then Maribel's like, "Well, we can retrocycle, so I can tell if you're lying." And that's when June's like, "Wait," or Luna's like, "Wait, you can go back in time? That means you could probably find the actual ritual and show me what I did wrong." So of course, he doesn't kill her. She grabs her, yada, yada. There's a whole thing where they just argue for like days, weeks, whatever. Her and Tala made a thing. Now they're breaking that promise, and Tala hates her. And Maribel's like, "You don't understand. It's the love of my life." Maribel is just fucking stupid. She's so dumb. She's so dumb. Her and Brighton just irritate the hell out of me. And Maribel is just the most selfish character throughout the entirety of this series. It's so annoying. But long story short, they find that they have to grab like Phoenix parts, and that goes against Tala's whole being, is that she can't go and grab body parts of a Phoenix to bring someone else back to life. But because Maribel, who's like her only friend and the only person who actually feels the anger and grief that she has because of what Luna did, goes out of her way. She sells her jacket, and the reason why selling your jacket as a Halo Knight is so like big is because that jacket is given to you as a child. or yeah, be a child, when you're old enough to understand phoenixes more, and then your arms are covered in the feathers of your companion, you don't pluck them out. It's just when they fall out, or if the phoenix themselves plucks it and gives it to you, you add it on, and the longer the sleeve is, the longer you've had that phoenix. Well, she gives that up to help Maribel, give her everything she needs, and they get betrayed. Oh, shocker! Once they go back and find everything, we find out that Luna is her grandmother, and that's a big shocker. I mean, we found that out in the second book, but we find it out more like that Luna's actually like richer than she lets off. And it makes sense why she's so like pompous and like, oh, you have to speak and articulate words. It's because she was a rich girl. And she finds out that her uncles and her like grandfather all had these powers of death. So there's 5 of them. One can see the dead. One can understand the dead. One can, I think it's like, what is it? Hear. Because it's like somewhat, it's almost like the 5 senses. So one can taste death in your bones. So like if he's near you, he can taste when you're going to die or what you're going to die of. It's really crazy. One sees the dead and can see like not when you're going to die, but just see the spirit. One can hear the dead and understand them, like speak their language. Be like, okay, what are they saying, right? Another one has death touch. He was the last one born of the 5, and he touched his mom on the way out and killed her during childbirth. Oh, what was the 5th one? Was his like sensing death, I think? Like he can feel that there's death imminent around him. He screams. He screams like the dead. And his screams make you go insane or just melt your brain. It's insane. They're all crazy. And they all thought they were cursed, so one way, shape, or another, they all end up taking their lives. And the one that Luna decided to marry because she wanted find a resurrection potion because she found these brothers, the one she wanted already died, so the one she picked is the one that can see the dead. And the dead are basically hurting him. They're haunting him. They're basically like making him feel pain, making him feel anguish because they're essentially torturing him. Because once ghosts know you can see them or hear them or feel them, they will haunt you until you bring them back to lives, because ghosts in this world only exist if they were like basically murdered in brutal ways, or their lives are taken away in brutal ways. So we find out that they're talking to him and trying to get him. Oh no, he's the brother that understands them, and he's trying to get them to. Oh no, this is the wrong brother. My bad. The brother she wanted is the one that can talk to the ghost. The brother she got is the one that can, I believe, he's the one that sees ghosts. Like he can only see them. I think that's the one she married. But so Maribel's uncle, the one that can talk to ghosts, she goes back into his life and finds out that yes, he found out the way to bring people back and how to do it, but she can't directly just pick up a book from the past and read it. She had to specifically wait for him to flip through this bitch, read all the ingredients, memorize them. And remember when I said when people retrocycle, they feel everything, all their emotions. Well, he set the world on fire, or his little cabin on fire, and he stabbed himself with what's called an oblivion dagger. An oblivion dagger obliterates your soul. So there is no afterlife for you. You no longer exist after that point. There's no bringing you back. There is no finding your soul. It just extinguishes your soul completely. Because this guy was in such agony that his family and everybody was going to haunt him forever, that he'd rather have peace knowing that he dies completely without ever having any afterlife than to live in a world where even as a ghost, his family would haunt him. Even in peace in the afterlife, he'd be haunted. So Maribel cries and then feels that pain of being stabbed, and also feels the pain of burning alive as you're dying. She comes back. Luna's like, oh, cool, you did it. Bam. Guess what? June was here the whole time. They get betrayed, yada, yada. They grab all the things they need. Tal and her grab the things they need. They go back to the cabin, which belongs to Ruth and Wesley. It's like a secret hideaway cabin that Brighton was in, that he was dying in, that to resurrect him, to resurrect Atlas. While the brothers are fighting, Brighton gets a bunch of people killed. And I understand this is a serious moment in the book, but I laughed so hard because he basically gets like these live streaming, like they're basically like TikTok, Instagram influencers, Twitter influencers, to join his army because they have powers, and they go against like actual bad guys from the prison. They all get slaughtered. They just die because they're stupid, uptight teenagers who don't understand how their powers work, and they don't exercise their powers to get stronger. They just have them. And Brighton here doesn't take any responsibility for it, doesn't take any blame for it at all. He says they chose to join me. They chose to fight for me. Yes, because you talked them into it. If you didn't talk them into it, like, it wouldn't, like, what are we talking about? He knew they weren't that good of fighters, but he used them as meat shields to keep himself alive, right? Like, all these teenagers and older adults just die because of him. Like, what are we doing? Like, and then when he breaks down, he doesn't even break down like a normal human. He just breaks down like, oh, they were young, but they were dumb. They were stronger. I'm like, bro, just say you killed them. That simple. Emil pops up, Spellwalkers pop up, they fight each other, they hate each other, the hell out of each other, right? Well, that's when Ness is like, okay, I'm sick of this guy. I hate this guy. Brighton and Ness do not like each other. Brighton wants to kill Ness with every fiber of his being. Ness wants to kill Brighton with every fiber of his being because they both believe that if the other person dies, life will be easier. So they argue, get into it, whatever. Everyone fights. Somehow, again, magically, Brighton gets away. That's a common occurrence in this book, too, is that somehow Brighton constantly gets away, and it could easily be prevented if the Spellwalkers just stop fucking around and literally just bind his powers, or, I don't know, knock him out, or, I don't know, stop him from being able to use his powers from his hands. Because they always do this thing where they like, oh, I got him in a full Nelson. He can still shoot fire from his fucking hands. Why are we not concerned about that? Like, they always have his hands up like this, because the way it's described is he's in a full Nelson. Guess what? I can still shoot fire from my hands. Wow. Oh, I got his arms wrapped around him. He can't move. Guess what? My arms are to my sides. I can still shoot fire out of my hands. Are we fucking serious? Being a group of, like, smarter people, they do some dumb shit. But, yeah, through this whole thing, we find out, you know, there's more to than meets the eye. The sanctuary gets attacked, blown up, because there's people that are in the enforcers that want to take over the sanctuary. There's people robbing the sanctuary. There's a lot of stuff that, like, just goes to show how bad the world is getting because of Senator Iron poisoning the minds of people, saying that, like, specters and celestials need to die in general. And there's just so much carnage that happens. A lot of phoenixes are dying unnaturally, so they aren't coming back. A lot of specters are being killed. In this book, when Emil is running away with the Spellwalkers and Brighton's fucking off somewhere, we actually get to meet the son again a second time. Or, I forget her name. I think it was Dr. Bose. Her son has the ability to cast illusions, and he hates Emil because he believes Emil is the reason why his mom died. Because in the second book, when Brighton was in the room dying, because this is like towards the beginning of the second book where he has like the abilities, but he's dying from poisoning. The doctor actually can cast illusions as well, and she's trying to keep them safe. Well, Stanton, the guy that Brighton ends up killing, snaps her neck, killing her. And Emil tries to apologize because Wesley tells him, Wesley tells him, you have to accept that you are the reason she died. Even if we both know that's not true, just accept it. Try to apologize to the child and to the father. The father accepts it because he knew his wife was like that. She wants to save people, whether it's with her powers or with her ability to be a doctor. Well, son doesn't accept it. He actually casts an illusion of the doctor with a broken neck, causing Emil to get more. Well, Brighton brings that kid back because he needs more soldiers. He's a shit. That's just how it works. Brings him, basically makes his mind work in a way that's like poisoning his mind, essentially. And it gets to the point where Brighton is manipulating this child to take on Emil. They do. They end up fighting. And this whole thing where Emil is fighting his brother and everyone is being put under to like these illusions because they find out that there is a weapon that can kill Brighton. And Brighton doesn't know about it yet, I do believe, at this point. And Emil doesn't know if he actually wants to go retrocycle back into his first life to find that weapon. Because we find out that Keon Maximo actually built a weapon to kill the Spectres and anyone else because he actually made powers to make the world better, which flips the history on his head because everyone believes that Keon Maximo was a terrorist. If I'm not mistaken, he's not. Like in the book, they explain he wasn't. It was just because of what occurred afterwards and how the world manipulated that history to make everyone afraid of Spectres and Celestials. Well, once again, we find out that Keon Maximo was actually dealing with Luna. They were partners, and Luna's like, I don't like you anymore. And the only reason she didn't kill him is because she truly, truly doesn't love him. She loves his intellect. Because I think Luna's only actually loved one person. That was her sister. And that's the whole reason for the immortality, is because she wants to become immortal and find a way to bring her sister back. But she's only loved one aspect of somebody, and that was Keon. Keon's mind was so fascinating to her that she wanted to keep working with him. Well, when he called it quits, he didn't like that. So she tried killing him. And she didn't know that once you die with Phoenix blood, you resurrect as someone else. So then she ends up killing Batista, but not killing him completely. She stabs him with an Infinity Ender, which what that's supposed to do is if you have a Phoenix essence inside you, if you strike a fatal blow with it, it kills you outright. Like, you just don't resurrect. Now, the difference between that and Oblivion Dagger is you don't resurrect, but you get an afterlife. Oblivion Dagger, you're just gone. Dead to rights. You're not just bleh, right? Well, in this book, we find out that you have Bright and Emil fighting each other, and it ends up showing Emil getting stabbed with an Infinity Ender, right? Emil dies. And like I said, that Infinity Ender kills you. That's just how it works. And everyone is shocked by this, even Brighton, because he's like, I could have swore I was following my brother. Well, we find out that the little boy is casting spells, the one that's the son of Dr. Bose, and goes against Brighton's word that he won't kill him, and ends up killing Emil. And then Ness takes his opportunity to stab the utter living fuck out of Brighton. But then we find out, because of all the essences in Brighton's blood and body, he's immortal. He cannot die unless you have that weapon. So he comes back to life. He leaves. He doesn't blame himself for Emil dying. He doesn't blame himself for his mother dying, because Brighton accidentally kills his mom by trying to attack an enforcer who has teleporting abilities. I know, sad, shocker, it's crazy. And then his brother ends up dying, and everyone sees that it's Brighton doing it, because that's, once again, the little boy making sure that he doesn't get flack for it. Brighton sees through it, tries killing him, and gets released because it stabs shit out of him. Well, after everything happens, after Emil is gone, Gencia, Wyatt, and Ness all make a treaty, because the Spellwalkers are no more. After all this happens, everyone just breaks apart. Everyone's already gone, has been gone with some of them. So Prudencia says, I'm going to go make sure that I can find a way to help, right? I'm going to help everybody. I'm going to find, like, people to, like, spread the word, essentially. Ness is like, I'm going to go fight Prudencia's like, I'm going to go get the Spellwalkers. I'm going to go see if they can help us, or have people help us, like, fight Luna, right? Ness takes on the Senator. He goes, I'm going to go undercover. I'm going to try to best the Senator at what he does best, which is... Then Wyatt goes, I'm going to try to go find the Halo Knights and get as many people to help us as possible. Well, as everyone's doing their job, doing everything they need to, they basically agree to go back to the school, the Nova School, where everything went down in the first book, because they believe that they're not going to be caught, which is kind of smart on their end. They go back to the place where you least expect them. Well, when they break off into their own ways, Brighton learns about the weapon, and he ends up, I believe, getting the weapon before his brother, because just him there can't really do anything. He essentially gets it, and then he fights Halo Knights, kills the head of the Halo Knights, and then he goes to the next, like, the nearest sanctuary, because he finds out about the ritual to bring people back. Because in this book, a couple chapters before everything happens, this gets brought back to life, and it's actually him. It's genuinely him. It's not like the whole June thing where June didn't have her soul. It's actually him. He's brought back to life. And the night before, Maribel makes love to Tala because she's just a piece of shit. Because she realizes Tala actually loves her, and she's falling for Tala, but because she's so madly in love with Atlas that she can't with her. But instead of telling her that and being honest, she kind of leads her on and then asshole. But yeah, Brian finds out about it, and he starts slaughtering phoenixes, stealing from people. And he goes to a sanctuary where he fights Wyatt and ends up dying. That was super sad as well. Brighton's still a piece of shit, saying it was self-defense, even though he technically is right in this scenario, but he's a piece of shit for the way he talks about it. Defending himself, he just kills people. He could easily just hurt them and been like, okay, I'm on my way. So he leaves, and Emil comes back to life and finds that he is also immortal like his brother, but way. And he comes back. He's completely healed of all of his injuries, every injury he's ever had. It's insane because the Infinity Ender, he got cut up in the first book and tortured. All those scars are gone. And he's feeling better about himself, feeling more alive because now he has all the memories of his past life. He no longer has to retrocycle. So he comes back. He turns the little boy into a good guy because he tells you, hey, you killed me. Are we good? And the little boy goes, yes, we're good. I'm so sorry about that. I let my anger get over. Emil's like, hey, listen, yada, yada, yada. We're good. We're fine. We don't need to talk about it. You did what you did. You did what you needed to do to heal yourself. That's all that matters. So then he uses him to go against his brother and steal the scythe from his brother. They fight each other again. Gets away again. All this arguing, fighting, everything happens. And while this is going on, when he gets away, Ness, we find out, is actually undercover as this reporter who he breaks into his house. It's the Silver Star Slayer, who's just basically a guy who's super, like, I think it's called gleamophobic. He just hates you if you have powers because you think you're just a terrorist, you're terrible, you're a horrible human being. He's under the senator's thumb because he's a big fan of the senator. Well, when Ness breaks in, he was originally going to knock him out, keep him trapped in his house, and pretend to be him. Well, in defense of himself, he tries shooting a wand, like a spell from a wand, but he had the wand backwards, and this guy ends up killing himself. So Ness goes, okay, this works for me, I guess. So he pretends to be him, pretends to make a suicide video revealing everything that is going to go live the next day. Because it's, I think it's Thursday is what he says is here. Well, long story short, the guy was supposed to meet Senator late. So the senator sends his bodyguard to meet him outside immediately. So he does. He goes in and he finds that his dad is struggling to get stuff done. So he goes, fine, I'll do it myself because obviously I can't have hired help. I can't get people to kill these guys off, do all this shady shit. So what he does is, while Ness is pretending to be Silver Star Slayer and presenting him at the last debate, last thing before presidency, we find out that Sunstar comes back and they actually find Sunstar hiding because Sunstar has been missing since the whole thing of Ness pretending to be her in the second book, and the Spellwalkers actually end up finding where she is. They get her out of the cell, help her out, and bring her back. During the events of them bringing her back, that's when Ness is pretending to be Silver Star Slayer, this, that, and the third. And basically, this happens, and we get to the point of, how do I explain it? The senator is pretending to be Sunstar, his opponent, and is pretending to be this very evil, we're going to kill everyone, we're going to be superior to you, making her just seem terrible. And Ness, okay, he's this is perfect. I can now use the potion, pop it in his mouth. Guess what? No more powers for him, right? Well, before he even can act on his plan, the actual Sunstar shows up, right? And the thing about shifters are they can look like you, but they cannot replicate your power. So Ness reveals that it's him, is who he is. And he goes, the senator is right here. You guys have been lied to. Go ahead. If you're not who you say you are, use your powers. And he goes, I don't need to prove anything to you. But Sunstar does. She uses her actual powers. So while she uses her power, she accidentally blinds everyone. And this is when the senator runs to get away. And with all this whole fight happens, and Ness is the only one who could track his dad down because he sees him. Well, Ness doesn't know Emil's alive. So when Emil shows up, Ness beats the dog fucking shit out of him. And Emil took his own powers away. Once, I think, Prudencia finds him again, I believe. He drinks the potion to take his powers away because during the fight that he had with his brother to take away the scythe, he's like, all right, let's just break this down. Just me and you talk. Let's retrocycle back to when I was first born. You were first born. And if you do not accept me as family, I'll drink the potion. Well, Brighton sees it. He sees how much love he has. And he goes, okay, you are always my brother, but I'm still going to bring back both of our parents. So he goes, all right, cool. Pops the potion. Brighton fucks off. Well, Emil, while he's being beat to a fucking pulp, the senator shows up. And he's confused. He's like, wait, who am I beating up? Then Emil's like, it's me, dumbass. He's like, oh, fuck, why aren't you healing? I don't have powers. So then they're being held up telekinetically by one of the senator's people. And he's going to end up killing Emil because once he finds out Emil's human again, the senator puts a wand to him. And before he can attack, Brighton shows up, face through the wall, and saves his brother. Whole thing happens where they all fight the senator. They beat him up, beat everyone else up. They get him bound up. And then instead of killing him, because Ness wanted to kill his father goes, do it. I'll be proud of you if you do. He goes, I don't give a fuck what you want. Drops the scythe. Star Stifler potion bound his powers, and everything he reveals. The senator reveals, he goes, "You have no proof." And then Brighton here goes, "Oh yeah, you don't know this about me. I can camouflage myself. I've actually been in the room longer than you think." And he goes into the corner and reveals there's a camera that's been there the whole time. And the senator tries twisting it like, "Oh, they had me at one point, this, that." And he goes, "No, I've been here longer than you think, you old man. I've been here since before you walked into the room." So he's going to prison. He's going to the bounds. Everyone like involved with the senator is going away. Basically, Brighton at that point comes to the realization that he is a villain, that he cannot bring his parents back to life because he doesn't have the heart to tell them that he's the reason Brighton doesn't want to be a part of the family anymore. So he ends up telling himself, like, "Hey, I'll sacrifice myself, be arrested." And he spends the rest of his life in prison. And it's kind of a bittersweet end, but he accepts it. He actually has character growth a lot through these last couple chapters, accepting not only everything he's done, but accepting the lives that he's ruined, reputation of everybody that he's ruined. And then Prudencia still kind of has like feelings for him, so she'll visit him every now and then. Emil visits him as much as he can, but Brighton says, "Go live your life. Like, go be who you want to be. Don't worry about me. I've made my mistakes. This is where I will stay." And then we end up finding out that Wyatt's actually alive still, just knocked unconscious, and he's very badly injured. So Emil saves him. Everyone else gets saved. Everyone's fine. And in the end, Emil ends up with Ness. Marty Bell becomes the leader of the Luminary Legion, or Luminary whatever. It's basically the Spellwalkers, but for the entire world, because Spellwalker are for the entire United States, not just New York. So Sunstar wanted to create a team, these vigilantes that are trying to save Gleam, like people, like celestial specters throughout the United States, and bring them together. And they want Marty Bell to be there. And Marty Bell comes to terms because she ends up losing Atlas a second time, because Atlas sacrificed himself because he knows that she still loves Tala. So he pushes them away with his wind, ends up burning alive inside of Luna's old house because they end up killing Luna, end up killing June as well. They get their revenge, right? Everyone gets their ending. And that's what I love about the story. And Marty Bell tries getting together with Tala, but Tala tells her, "No, you fucked up. So we're going to have to take things slow, like slower than you want." Because Marty Bell goes and grabs Tala's jacket that she gave up for her and brings it back to her as a gift. Tala accepts, but she tells her, "Just because you've like given me this doesn't mean that you didn't break my heart. Doesn't mean that you didn't leave me. You chose to leave. Chose to be reckless." Marty Bell accepts that. She's still kind of a dickhead, and she still doesn't like Emil, which is still fucking stupid to me. Like, it's literally your fault. This whole, like, everything that's happened to you is your fault. Like everything that's happened in your lifetime after the blackout events is your fault. And she doesn't accept that. That's what really pisses me off, is she doesn't accept that. She acknowledges it, but doesn't accept it because Emil was there. Yeah, Marty Bell, I couldn't feel for her. I really couldn't feel bad for her because she's just a piece of shit. She's like Brighton, except Brighton actually accepted his fault. She just acknowledged hers. But yeah. Yeah, a lot of stuff happens. A lot of people get like turned over. A lot of stuff bad happens. In the end, everyone gets, like I said, I've missed or purposely left out a lot of stuff because of that. Because it does lead up to this, but a lot of it doesn't really need to be known for it to happen. But yeah, a lot of stuff happens. Those are the 3 endings of everything. I absolutely love it. Everything about it's amazing. I love this series so much. I actually ended up buying this book on the Kindle because it was only like $1 or $2. I was like, damn. And I ended up finishing I think I was like 60% of the way through, 50% maybe. I was halfway through the physical book, but then I was like, oh, I'll just read it on the Kindle because I travel. Like, I was traveling from work, like places, had like family meetings or gatherings, whatever. So I'd bring that with and read it. Really good series. I really strongly suggest going through with it. If I had to personally give it a rating, I honestly would probably give it like a solid 9 out of 10, simply because of the only thing that I really had issues with in this book is Brighton and Marty Bell did not really have that much like growth as characters until like the damn near end, if not the end of the series, which you don't even get to experience it for that much. And it's like Marty Bell still is an asshole, doesn't really solve anything, kind of a dick. And it's just like, okay, I didn't resolve her character very much, or like have her accept what she did was wrong, what she incorrect. It just, oh, I messed up. Then say sorry, bitch. Damn. But yeah, overall, 9 out of 10. Only issue I really had with it was literally just those two characters and like the character growth of them specifically, because usually, like, I'd say like towards the middle of this book there should have been more character growth with Brighton, but like there really wasn't. It was just the same boo hoo, I'm better than you kind of mind. But yes, overall, that's everything I have to say on the last two books. Love this series. Will more than likely read it again, much like Percy Jackson. And yeah, that's about it. If you like superheroes and fucking magic, these are the books for you. It puts magic and superheroes together. Boom, you got the Infinity Cycle. Very much enjoy it. Very much love it. If this ever becomes a TV series or a movie, I'll definitely read it, watch it, and give you guys a critique. All that being said, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. And if you want to hear this first on Tuesdays at 3 p.m. on anywhere you find your podcast, if you want to watch the video and listen at the same time, every Friday at 3 p.m. on my channel, The Real Rocha, at youtube.com. You can watch it there. But yeah, like I said, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. And I'll catch you guys in the lobby the next time you decide to queue up.